So I assume by now you have heard that Geno Smith was named the starter for the Seahawks in week 1. I think that kind of shocked a lot of people. I really think a lot of people thought they were going to go with Drew Lock. But what I'm going to do is use Geno Smith to try to win a Super Bowl in Seattle within the next 2 years. I really think that might honestly be impossible, but we do have some really good weapons around him like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. He's also got Kenneth Walker and Rashad Penny at running back. I did up his awareness a little bit to get him a higher overall than Drew Lock, just so the CPU wouldn't bench him. The offense does have some nice pieces, but the defense is definitely a question. Defensive back, our best one is a 77 overall Sidney Jones. Our defensive tackles are a 78 and a 65. That is obviously not good. We do have some pretty solid safeties though. And the first move I'm going to make is I'm going to trade for Mario Edwards Jr. from the Bears just so we're not starting a player in the 60s on the D-line. And before I simulate season 1 here are the playbooks and the schemes I am running. Madden 23 is still very, very dependent on what playbooks and scheme you are running for simulation. I really wish it was more dependent on players, but you know it is EA. Well, let's jump to the end of season 1 and see if we can at least make the playoffs. Obviously, it is a different scheme and playbook than usual. Most of the time, to me, Seattle gets the number 1 pick in franchises, especially in the first season. Let's hope we can avoid that this year since I'm only giving myself like 2 to 3 years to win a Super Bowl. And yeah, we're still pretty bad. We finished 3-14, so we will probably still pick near number 1. Geno Smith had 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. It looks like Drew Lock got to play a little bit and threw 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. What about on the ground? Kenneth Walker ran for 11 touchdowns, and receiving, Tyler Lockett had 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns. DK Metcalf had 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Noah Fant had 6. Jordan Brooks leads the team in tackles with 148. In sacks, it goes to Nwasu. Yeah, I probably butchered that, but he got 10. And interceptions, Jordan Brooks and Sidney Jones both got 2. And Super Bowl 57 goes to the Baltimore Ravens 32-28. So now we can jump into our first offseason. And with re-signing, the only player I am bringing back was actually Geno Smith. Everyone else is going to hit free agency. I'm going to see if I can find anyone better. And here in the first stage of free agency, here are the contracts I have offered. I'm trying to get Yannick Ngakoue, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Will Fuller, David Edwards, and Billy Turner. Let's see if any of these guys actually end up signing with us. As we advance to the next part, they're all gone, and that is because all 5 have signed with us. And here are the next 3 contracts I am throwing out. Rashad Fenton, I don't know how to say this guy's last name, but he is a defensive tackle that is a 79 overall scheme fit, and Brandon Graham. Graham is not really interested in signing with us, but we're the only team offering him, so I'm hoping he will take the deal. And let's see, we got Fenton, we got the defensive tackle, and we got Brandon Graham. So this is our free agent class for this season. And we are here at the draft. We do have the number 1 pick. If I was looking to get a new quarterback, I would probably take Jerry Cameron here. He looks to be pretty solid, but we're going to take Tommy Ricard out of FAU, and we're going to roll with Geno Smith. And with our second first-round pick here at pick 27, I'm going to take left tackle Dom Walker out of Ole Miss. He is also going to have a hidden depth trade. And then here with our second-round pick, I'm going to take center Max Tanner out of Alabama, and he is also a hidden depth trade for us. And now here at the end of the second round with pick 27, I'm going to take right outside linebacker Chris Burks out of Boston College, who will have a normal depth trade. And then here with the last pick that I will make, if you've never watched any of my rebuilds, I only pick the first 3 rounds, and then I let the CPU draft the remaining rounds. We're going to take left guard Sam Wilford out of Colorado, who will also have a normal depth trade. Alright, I feel like I did not do bad in this draft. The corner I took with the number 1 pick is a 78 overall. The left tackle is a 72, the center is a 74, the right outside linebacker is a 72, and then I drafted the 67 overall guard, which isn't great. The CPU took a 64 overall quarterback, a 69 overall running back, and a 69 overall free safety. Here is the lineup for Season 2. Geno Smith went from a 67 to a 66, so obviously that is not great. And it looks like we're only carrying 2 running backs into the regular season. That is also an interesting decision. And I think our defense is a little bit improved. Hopefully we don't go 3-14 this year. But let's jump to the end of Season 2 and see if we can at least get to the playoffs this time. Well, we did get better. This season we go 7-10, so we've got one more season to try to make a Super Bowl run, which should be interesting. Geno Smith throws 4,900 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions. On the ground, Kenneth Walker ran for 12 touchdowns. What about receiving? DK Metcalf, 100 catches, 1,300 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett with 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Noah Fant with 4. Jordan Brooks leading the team in tackles with 168. What about sacks? That goes to Yannick Ngakoue, who got 8. and interception, Sean Murphy-Bunting got 3. And Super Bowl 58 also goes to the Ravens. They win their second Super Bowl in a row, this one over the Cowboys 26-22. And here is everyone leaving in this re-signing period. We were able to bring back a couple big names like Jordan Brooks and Noah Fant. Here are the contracts I am offering in this stage of free agency. Obviously, the big one here is Nick Bosa, also trying to bring in Max Sharping and Leon Jacobs. But yeah, like I just said, the big one we're going for is Nick Bosa, and I doubt he will take it, but he actually will. So we have Nick Bosa and Yannick Ngakoue on our defensive line. And this time we don't pick until number 9 in this draft, so let's go ahead and see who the Bears are going to take. They take quarterback Dylan Keys out of Miami. And with our 9th pick, I'm looking at defensive tackle Courtney Hall. He is not a scheme fit, but I do like his stats. B block shedding, B finesse, B power, and A tackle. We're going to take Courtney Hall, and he is a hidden depth trait. And with our 2nd round pick, I'm going to take right guard Chuck West out of Wisconsin, who will also come in with a hidden depth trait. And another player that's not a scheme fit, but here in the 3rd round, I'm going to take right tackle Brian Burke. It may be a slight reach because he is a day 3 projection, but he will come in with a normal depth trait as well. And here is our draft recap. I did pretty decently in the 1st and 2nd round, I feel like, but yeah, that 3rd round pick was not good. And then the CPU took a 68 wide receiver, a 65 safety, a 67 tight end, and a 65 tackle. As we get ready to jump into the 3rd and final season of this rebuild challenge, Geno Smith is still a 66 overall. He now has an 86 overall Kenneth Walker in the backfield, a 96 overall DK Metcalf, an 88 Tyler Lockett, and a 79 Will Fuller, along with, I feel, a pretty solid O-line. On the defensive side of the ball, we have Courtney Hall, who we took in the 1st round in this last draft. We also added Nick Bosa. We also have Yannick Ngakoue on the other side of him, and our secondary is very much improved. Our weakest point is probably the linebacker, so let's hope that doesn't hold the team down too much. But we are going to take this trade for Roquan Smith. He has requested a trade in real life. This is obviously a couple years into the future, but we're going to trade 2 1s and a 2 to land Roquan Smith on this team. So obviously adding a player like Roquan Smith to our defense should help tremendously, but let's see if in our 3rd and final season we can finally at least make the playoffs in this rebuild. And in our 3rd and final season, we do finally manage to make the playoffs. We win the division at 10-7. And Geno Smith had an incredible season. 5,400 yards, 38 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Running the ball, Kenneth Walker had 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns. Eric Newton, an auto-generated player, had 11 touchdowns on 58 touches. All right. Receiving, DK Metcalf, 116 catches for 1,600 yards and 10 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. And Noah Fant got 9. Jordan Brooks got 143 tackles. What about sacks? That goes to Nick Bosa with 20.5, and interceptions. Sean Murphy-Bunting got 4. So now let's see if we can win a playoff game here in this rebuild. We now have an 85 overall offense, an 88 overall defense, and an 86 overall team. We finished as the 6th offense in points per game and the 5th defense. But sadly, that is where the rebuild will end. We lose to Philadelphia 42-34. And Super Bowl 59 also goes to Baltimore, so they three-peat in this video. That is very impressive, obviously. So obviously trying to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith at quarterback is incredibly difficult. We don't even manage to win a single playoff game. Obviously, in real life, I believe the Seahawks would have moved on in that first draft when I had the number 1 pick and probably just would have taken that quarterback. If I was doing a normal rebuild, that's what I would have done. But I was just trying to rebuild around Geno and see if I could actually manage to even win a playoff game, let alone a Super Bowl. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next time.